Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. The crypto analytics provider Santiment has revealed, now this is quite significant. Santiment has revealed that around 90% of all Ether is currently stored in self-custody addresses. 90% of the coin are no longer on crypto exchanges. The last time this figure was so high was in 2015, right after the coin was launched. Right. The new data comes at a time when investors seem to have lost faith in centralized exchanges. No one has explicitly lost faith in centralized exchanges. If people had, they would have stopped using them a number of years ago. What's currently happening is that we're seeing a rapid uptick in the movements from the CFTC and the SEC within the USA, and them constantly hounding cryptocurrency exchanges, declaring or stating or alleging that they've done something wrong. It says withdrawals from Binance soared in the past 24 hours, prompted by the recent clash between the platform and the CFTC. It's just a lot of people normally within the United States who are maybe lightly terrified that something might be happening with their money or something, depending on whichever cryptocurrency exchange might be in trouble at that time. It says Santiment's data showed that only 10.31% of Ethereum supply is now held on exchanges, the lowest rate since the birth of the token. There's some kind of really weird price manipulation that's happening with Ethereum, and I will tell you honestly, I do not know exactly where it is or what it's where it's coming from. I've been reading a number of articles, and this is something that we've also been discussing before. Historically, always, I don't care what coin it is, but then when you talk about the most used blockchain on the planet, Ethereum, typically, whenever there is an update or an upgrade to a coin, we see roughly around 2 weeks before the upgrade actually ends up happening. We have now had official word that on the 12th of April, I believe that's what it is, we are going to have the Shanghai upgrade that we've been talking about for a while. You normally see the coin's price beginning to move up based off of several different factors. If you see that the amount of cryptocurrency, a coin, on any given crypto exchange begins to go down, this usually is dramatically bullish for the price. If you have a normal amount of buying pressure for any coin, and you see that, 20 million gets taken out, 20 million gets taken out, and everyone's like, okay, there's less and less on the exchanges, but the buying pressure has remained the same. Mathematically, the coin's price will go up. If people begin to put tons of their coins back onto a cryptocurrency exchange, it's usually an indication that people are getting ready to sell in some form or fashion the coins that they are currently holding. When you talk about the actual math of that, 90% of a coin is no longer on any cryptocurrency exchange. We don't have these metrics or these numbers for any other coins. Like, it's just not a thing that you would hear that 90% of XRP is not actually, on an exchange, or that, 25% of Bitcoin is actually locked up. When you talk about 90% of a coin not actually being on an exchange, we should probably, and I don't know if it's a mixture or an accumulation of fears of what's happening in the banking sector, because the cryptocurrency market is so closely linked to the stock market. I keep seeing tons and tons of articles where they're like, the correlation between crypto and the stock market is at its lowest since like 2019, and that's all a lie. Every time they move, we move in the exact same direction. But I think whales have done a particularly amazing job of figuring out a way to induce selling pressure on the asset as they've been taking it off of cryptocurrency exchanges. I'm not sure if the number at all is significant to you, but imagine 90% of anything not being on a market. When you talk about that, we've been talking about for the past year and a half, the amount of whale activity for Ethereum and Bitcoin, and then getting the actual numbers, this means that 90% of the coin is locked away somewhere. Like, it's not within, now understand this part as well. It's not that 90% of it is locked up in Coinbase or in Kraken or in Binance that may have the current liquid staking. It's that 90% of them are held by individuals who refuse to put them on cryptocurrency exchanges. They are self-custodying these coins and have no intention of selling these coins. Yeah. So it's quite significant news. The market doesn't seem to care about any kind of news that is actually groundbreaking. It's terrible to think if we had news that 90% of all Bitcoin was in self-custody or not on an exchange, I feel like we'd even move down in price that day. I think people get the news and see what's happening, but it doesn't. How do I say this so we can move on? I think if people see amazing things happening but don't see a reflection in the prices, they think that it's nothing news. When consistently, we're constantly getting really and I will say this one last time, the rich are buying everything. I know that sounds conflated, or I know it sounds like, oh yeah, we've heard that before. You really don't get how much that rich people are buying. They own everything, and they will continue to own everything. There's a couple of books that I'm reading. I think I'm going to make one of those, cheesy videos on money rules. Like, these are the books that changed my life, like that kind of video. But they didn't. It's more of like a complete eye opener when you read about and you see the numbers and figures as to what rich people, millionaires and billionaires, are currently doing with their money. And anyway, so this news alone should have sparked a massive altcoin rally, in that Ethereum would move up in price, and then the rest of the altcoins would also follow Ethereum as well. But, until we get inflation under control and the stock market moves, no one's going to care about any of this news. And then people are going to figure out one day that there's just there's literally going to be no crypto left for poor people. I don't know how to make that any clearer. That's the 90% of Ether is locked away. People are holding on to their coins. I saw a number of articles discussing price predictions for Ethereum after the upgrade. The idea always, this is not a maybe, this is an always. After an upgrade happens, or 24 hours leading up to the actual upgrade, people sell off their coins. They don't understand what these things are, and they're simply trying to be smart or act cool and say that they sold at the top, or they sold the news. That's the thing that people always say. And a lot of the analysts, I was reading multiple different papers when they were discussing it. They said they expect for around 3 weeks after the upgrade, the Ethereum price is going to fall, as you have this cascade of people who will begin to slowly get their coins out of the staking, and these people simply won't understand what it means to actually sell their Ether. They said they assume that whales will buy up all of these coins, not a portion of them, not a bulk. They will buy up all the coins that enter the market, because they know that Ethereum itself is undervalued based on the actual staking that we will officially have, that other people simply are not pricing in. So people are pricing in, or rather right now looking at an $1,800 Ethereum, which is what we currently are always fluctuating around, not realizing that we hit, 4,400 or 4,800 before the last two upgrades that we actually have right now. So people will only look at the 4,400 as their other metric, as opposed to being like, oh, these actual upgrades are going to cause people to lock up all of their Ether inside of the protocol. Anyway, the idea is that after the first 3 weeks, people would begin to sell off their cryptocurrency, they sell off the Ether, and then people would come to realize rather quickly, as I've been saying for about a year now, the only way to create new Ether is to have Ether. And when all the rich people have all the Ether that there is, they will be the only ones creating it. You will have to wait for them to put their money, their Ether, onto an exchange so that you have a chance to buy some of it. So very interesting times ahead. It's just I think a good 98% of people in crypto, there's like their first experiences in capital markets. So get ready. Anyway, yeah, 90%. 90% and the prices of these coins haven't moved anywhere. But that's very similar to even 2017, 2018, 2019. The amount of good news that we had back then, and everyone was like, yeah, who cares? And then years later, they're like, oh my gosh, I wish I bought when it was cheaper. Anyway, that's the 90% of Ether is now currently off of exchanges news. Hope you're ready. Let's move on. Also, please just go somewhere else at this point. The guy from The Big Short, if you saw The Big Short, he was supposed to be like the Notre Dame guy who was constantly there. His name is Michael Burry, Burry, made a surprise, statement on his Twitter account, admitting that his call, or when he told people to sell Bitcoin in early February, was wrong. What? That's crazy. As Burry explained in his tweet, looking for an excuse to tell to everyone after he told them to sell, the markets did not have such a buy the dip generation since the 1920s. He said, I was wrong to say sell. Whoa, that's crazy. To illustrate his point of view, the analyst cited a chart from the Bloomberg terminal showing the S&P's average return following down days by year. As you can see by the chart, who cares, yada, yada, yada. And then he wrote, congratulations. In early February, Burry's call was greeted by the crypto market with a rise of more than 2%, causing the analyst to delete his Twitter account. This time, the reaction is less enthusiastic. It would be ironic if after Michael Burry, a well-known financial market skeptic, turned into a bull, the market became bearish again. No, these people are out of their minds. Part of the problem I have with celebrity financial analysts is that you can predict anything. You can predict anything. This guy was not the only person. He was not one more time, he was not the only person to predict the downfall of markets in 2007, 8, and 9. He was not. There were multiple people. However, his story was more interesting. Not joking. If you look at his physical character, him supposedly. Anyway, the point is, if you've seen the movie, you know what kind of guy he's supposed to be or how they portray him. That's what makes a movie. It's this guy who has this interesting story. He sits inside of an office all day. He listens to rock music. He's twirling around a pen and he's like, now we have to sell now. That's how there were tons of other people who got it. Part of the problem is with him and also the guy from Rich Dad Poor Dad is they remain economically famous basically forever for one prediction that they made before. And the issue is that even people within cryptocurrencies, this guy does not like crypto. I don't know how to make that any clearer to a lot of you. You can look at his past tweets, his last interviews. He doesn't like crypto. He thinks Bitcoin is terrible. He thinks it's ridiculous. So whenever these people even announce something with the word Bitcoin or Ether or blockchain, everyone begins to follow them and everyone thinks that they have the answer because they made millions in some sort of way. This guy does not know all markets. He does not know everything. He does not understand and will not ever understand the complexities of the cryptocurrency market. I don't care how long he's been in the traditional financial system. So he told a whole bunch of people to sell their coins, and I'm sure a lot of people did. I have no idea how many followers he has on Twitter, but I would dare say there was probably a good 10-15% who were like, oh my gosh, the guy from The Big Short said sell, and he made that one prediction in 2007, and what was that, 15 years ago? Look at how right he was. So anyway, this keeps happening over and 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 over. And understand this, I mean, crystal clear. Every time you sell your crypto, know that you are selling it to the whales. Know that you are selling it to the people who don't want us in this market. Know that you're selling it to the people who lied to you years ago and told you to get out of cryptocurrencies in 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. And that it was the worst investment in the entire world when they know good and well, because they all come out eventually and go on TV and talk about how amazing and performative and fantastic Bitcoin is and how they've been buying since 2014, 15, 16, 17, when you can look at the old articles and they told everyone out there to sell. Over and over and over and over and over. Stop listening to these people. I have no more to say on this topic. It's just more of a, That's the guy from The Big Short got upset and told people to sell, and he was like, oh, never mind, I was wrong. So, yeah, that's super fun news. The guy from Rich Dad Poor Dad also keeps telling people to buy a whole bunch of weird assets, and he also throws in Bitcoin because he's like, what do you say? Bitcoin is God's money or God's computer or some really weird phrase like that. And if you look into the actual factualities of that book, you would also stop listening to him as well. That's the I was wrong news. Yeah, because I think prices went up by like 25% after that. So that's really fun. All right. Let's move on. Also, and this was incredibly popular news, a group of prominent technologists, researchers, and other influencers are calling on OpenAI to hit the pause button on training its artificial tool known as ChatGPT. Why this made cryptocurrency news and why it was so popular, I wish I could tell you. Top AI figures, including, he is not an AI figure, including Elon Musk, Steve Wozniak, and Andrew Yang, have apparently signed an open letter calling for a 6-month pause on developing AI systems more potent than GPT-4, the current version of the generative tool that first launched in November of 2022. I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on. I really don't care if you believe me or not, but this is it. So when ChatGPT and Midjourney and all these other things launched around the end of last summer, somewhere around there, I was using it with a bunch of friends and we were like playing with it. We were like, oh my gosh, like, you know, the stuff that this generates is crazy. And every time that there was a new iteration of this, we saw how quickly that it was evolving. If you didn't see it from the beginning to see where now, like, it is literally night and day. A lot of companies, as this was becoming famous or more popular and getting into the news, began to announce that they had no plans to develop anything like it. They thought it was cool, but they'll see where things end up going in 5 or 10 years, you know, if they can make enough money off of it. Two of the companies that continued with it were Midjourney and ChatGPT, now simply known as GPT, maybe the chat, who knows, maybe it's too much for people to say. What happened is that I believe on Midjourney alone, I believe they had around 20 to 30 million people using their product within the first couple of months. Do you know what it takes to not have any advertising and to get 20 to 30 million people using a product and pay you for the product that you created? It's exceptionally rare. It simply does not happen. ChatGPT, on the other hand, I believe within the first month or two, I believe they had over 100 million customers, users, people using their platform. Imagine you make a company right now by word of mouth alone and people clicking around and sharing videos and sending screenshots to their friends. You get 100 million customers in 30 days. When you talk about these prominent technologists, researchers, heads of AI, talking about a 6-month pause on developing these systems, do you think it's because they want to create their own systems, or do you think they believe that this technology is advancing too fast? Do any of you, now tell me honestly, if Elon Musk had created Elon GPT, and this was the most used AI on the planet, do you think he would have come out and said, guys, we need to slow it down? As GPT and Midjourney exploded in popularity by January of this year, it was Amazon, Google, and Facebook all announced, say it with me, that they were all going to be creating their own AI as well. Well, that's weird. They weren't planning on doing that for a number of years. There was no interest. Oh my gosh, of course. 100 million people overnight were using the other. So the other company was making the money that these bigger companies wanted to make. They saw no market in it. ChatGPT and Midjourney completely went for it, and they're making all the money now. Like, the other companies have launched theirs, but they're not doing or faring as well as ChatGPT and also Midjourney. When I saw this, I knew exactly what it was. Never ever forget this sentence. It is always about money. Always. The 6-month break, now hear me out here. I don't know. I've never been in the room with any of these figures, but I would definitely say The 6-month pause that they're asking for is 6 months for them to be able to create something operable as well, so that they can also go, okay, guys, we got everything under control. This news came out and a number of people were like, yeah, we need to slow it down. Do you know you use AI in everything you do? You know, you were recommended by my channel by AI on YouTube. Your suggested videos are by AI. Take a photo on your phone and, you know, to take a photo of a letter. If you can find a letter, write something on a piece of paper, and then take a photo of it with your phone and then try to copy and paste the text. You can actually copy and paste the text from your photo. Do you know why? Because there's AI scanning every single one of your photos. Remember going on Facebook and like it was like, hey, do you want to auto tag Samantha? And you're like, how does it know Samantha's there? It's AI. This is just the next iteration of everything that you've been using. You know, like when you're on email and you're writing someone and it tells you like when you've misspelled stuff. Do you think that's just the computer? No, that's also AI. So anyway, there will be no pause. They will fight tooth and nail for this because they understand that this is a multi-trillion-dollar market. I listened to a podcast. I think it's from Ezra Klein. I'm pretty sure. Ezra. Anyway, the point is, he was talking to someone about the market, and they were explaining where all of this will be in about 2 years. Have you ever seen the movie? I think it's called Her. I think it's Her, where the guy has like an AI girlfriend and stuff like that. They said that is literally like a month and a half away. We have the technology for it. It's just about someone making a literal like application for it, so that you have a digital person to talk who will continuously learn forever. They will know what you want to talk about, how you want to talk about it, when you get bored, when you need stimulation in some sort of way mentally. Like this is where we currently are in the future. So anyway, bringing it on back, I'm not sure how this was one of the most popular cryptocurrency news stories. I assume it's because the word AI and Elon Musk are in it. That's literally all that it ever is and ever will be. Yeah. I always find it very fascinating. This is the same exact thing about people saying we need to ban crypto. Bitcoin's terrible. Bitcoin's the worst thing in the entire world. And then we hear these same people a couple years later being like, oh, Bitcoin has changed the world. Bitcoin's going to be $1 million. Anyway, that's the rich people are trying to stop other now rich people from continuing their AI initiatives because they wanted to make money themselves. And listen, it is, let me see, April, May, June, July, August, September. I give it September, October, November of this year. How much you want to bet that Elon Musk is going to release his own AI software tool that goes out to the public? Yeah, see? Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. That's the AI news. Sure, why not? The cryptocurrency space just gets weirder and weirder. And yeah, let's move on. Also in the news, Seychelles-based crypto exchange OKX has announced that it has plans to expand its presence in Hong Kong by applying for a virtual asset license under the new regulatory regime, as well as a Type 1 and Type 7 license under the Securities and Futures Ordinance. That sounds very dystopian. Securities and Futures Ordinance. Sure. It also has plans to establish a Hong Kong entity for launching virtual asset services within the region. Not an enormous amount of news from this. It's more of a backwards. Hong Kong announced a couple of weeks ago that they want to be the market and the hub and the space and the whatever for the cryptocurrency market moving into the future. Like they want to be it. They want to be the New York, London of cryptocurrencies. And as such, we have a number of companies who are applying for licenses there before they actually, get the ball rolling, because everybody wants to be the first to be able to advertise to the people within the country. So now it's OKX has also applied for a license. Nothing surprising there. I think Binance has applied for one. I think we had news that Coinbase was trying to. I don't remember Kraken And Gemini, I don't think they do anything much anymore, but I assume they'll try at some point. So good job, Gemini twins, on doing stuff. Yeah, that's the OKX news, applying for a license in Hong Kong. Hope they get it. Hope there's no backtracking. Hope there's nobody being like, oh, snaps, we lied. It's still illegal. Ha 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 ha. News. And yeah, let's move on. This is probably one of the largest red flags that you should all be paying attention to. I know that only 5 of you, that is to say, out of everyone watching, only 5 people are going to actually pay attention, but at least you can't say that you didn't know that any of this was happening. It says DeFi executives at a WOW summit panel argued that implementing Know Your Customer and KYC, and also AML, measures will tackle the biggest issue in decentralized finance, which is hackers laundering millions of stolen funds into clean money. I'm going to try and say this quick. You know I go on rants. I can't really help it. It is what it is. DeFi is not meant to have a CEO. DeFi is not meant to have, you can have executives. I can see that. But there's not meant to be an entity that controls everything. You might have seen in the last couple of months, there's been about 6 different DeFi platforms that have fallen, collapsed. There was 1 or 2 that ended up getting multiple that ended up getting like subpoenas, and they were being told to stop what they were doing and stop your activity and all this other random nonsense because they have an actual physical office. Now, listen, I don't know if it's simply because I heard the first iterations of DeFi. Maybe I've missed something. Maybe I'm just not hip and up to date anymore. The idea of a decentralized exchange was meant to be the literal opposite of a centralized exchange. The literal opposite. That is to say, there would be no KYC, there would be no AML. It was a system that was run by everyone. So you running, I make TMI DeFi. And on that network, every time that you sign up to the platform, because you used to be able to, sign up, you would make a username and you would add in your, you would make a password. I give you the option to run a node. So after 30 days, I have 144,000 people who are running these nodes. And, you run the network with everyone else. Someone makes a proposal on GitHub and they say, hey, I think that TMI's DeFi should have this thing. And everyone goes, you know what, cool, let's vote on it. And you get 59% of the vote, and the proposal ends up going through because you had over 80-something thousand people who voted for it. The idea of there being Know Your Customer on DeFi no longer makes it decentralized. It no longer makes it the opposite of a centralized cryptocurrency exchange. It simply makes it into a centralized exchange, because all of your data isn't going to everyone on the network. It's going to the head of the company who is storing it on their computer and then passes it along to regulators and to other governments. I'm not sure if I'm making myself clear. The problem is that these people keep creating these DeFi platforms and everyone runs to it because you are given the promise of 18, 23, 95% returns over the course of a year. One, that isn't how any protocol or anything works. If your coin has to inflate to be able to get you that money. I don't know where you think that money is coming from. The inflation rate of the coin has to outpace the amount of money that you would also be getting by the end of the year. Just as a, telling you about the red flag. The idea of people telling you that this protocol, this website that you are currently using permissionlessly, not a word, but you understand what I'm saying. But, to make it safer for you, as opposed to running extra nodes to make sure that the network is as decentralized as possible and no one can break the system. This is why Bitcoin is so powerful. was simply saying, just give us your ID. It's totally fine. This will definitely stop people from hacking and laundering things. That's a lie. These things were created with buzzwords and keywords. Keep warning yourself and keep warning your friends about this. The idea is that as long as they say DeFi and Web3, you think that you're getting something more than Web 2. Every single iteration that we've seen thus far of Web 3 is exactly what we currently have right now. There's nothing special about this Web 3 because everything is centralized. The idea of Web 3 is a world that is permissionless online, that is open for everyone and everything around the world. You might not know, but there are tons of countries that have restricted and cut off the internet for their citizens. This is not a tinfoil hat thing. This is currently happening right now. They use a different internet than you. I know that sounds crazy. Google it. There are multiple countries. They have their own private internet with private information and private news that only the government allows them to see. The idea is that if you have a decentralized protocol and blockchain like Bitcoin, and I would also throw in Ethereum into this sentence, you would then be able to use websites and pages and access information that's stored inside of Bitcoin or Ethereum at all times. You cannot permission Bitcoin. If I make a website on top of Bitcoin or on top of Ethereum, you are, in theory, around the world able to access that information. A government does not control enough nodes to be able to say no to your access. That's what Web3 is supposed to be. It's supposed to open up technology, information, and finance to everyone on the planet, regardless of where they are. There are countries around the world where you get in trouble if you are using any other currency except for the currency that was created within that country. It doesn't make any sense. We're in 2023. We have literal worldwide currencies now. They may fluctuate in value, Bitcoin, Ether, and XRP, but they can be used by anyone everywhere at any given time that people want. That's the idea. Regardless if you are in sub-Saharan Africa, if you are in Australia, if you are in Russia, if you are in Tokyo, if you are in New York, if you are in Brazil, you can all transact in Bitcoin permissionlessly through the blockchain, through your phone, through your computer. That is Web 3. That's the next iteration of what we should have. A lot of these platforms that you're using right now are going to be siphoning off your information. And a lot of times, and this is the most worrying part, a couple of years ago, there was a country who announced that they would be implementing very tight controls on their citizens. And you would not be able to do this. You would not be able to do that. Anyone who did these things would be considered criminals. And they went around asking people, journalists, asking people in these countries, how do you feel about this? Does this worry you? And they said, no, I'm not a bad person. This will never affect me. People assume that things won't hurt them or harm them or be bad for them, especially financially, until it actually is. These DeFi platforms are not decentralized. Them asking you for your information, you might as well just go use Coinbase. Who do you think is gathering up all your information? Who do you think, when they tell you that you can link your PayPal and your Visa and your MasterCard to these DeFi platforms to MetaMask, where do you think that information is going? Where do you think all your transaction history is going? Who do you think is going to? You think it's just sitting on the platform? Oh, no. They have my ID, but they're not giving my information to anyone, right? That doesn't make any sense. So yeah. There have been a large amount of news as of late from these CEOs of these decentralized protocols. That's like Bitcoin having a CEO. Think for a second how nonsensical that is. So yeah, I just thought I'd share the news so that you all understand that. they're lying to you and constantly telling you that Web3 and DeFi is the future. It's exactly what we have now. We need actual Web3 protocols. We need actual decentralized apps that we can use that no one is control of. A properly implemented decentralized finance exchange allows no one to have control over anything except for you over your own finances within that protocol. Anyway, that's the DeFi executives at a WoW Summit panel talked about know your customer and how it's not that bad. It would definitely stop the evil criminals. You know, people found out before, last point, people found out years ago there were so many governments who were saying that cryptocurrencies were only used for legal activities. And then we had Glassnode and Santiment and other third name who announced that they found that 0.05%, that is to say less than 1% of transactions are actually used in evil ways, if you will. So when they tell you that it's to save you from hackers and laundering, that's the DeFi will only be saved by know your customer and anti-money laundering rules. These people are lying to you, and the quicker you figure this out, the quicker you'll be able to live a better life financially. News. Yeah. Let's move on. Rightio. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, great morning, great afternoon, great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do sincerely hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.